and the confession of the kalima La ilaha illallah. Consciously experiencing the kalima La ilaha illallah. The confession that no reality exists, only the existence of Allah exists. The confession, the experience of the confession, and recognition of the confession within your own being. Rumi speaks about the one thing you must do. He says, there is one thing in this world you must never forget to do. If you forget everything else and not this, there is nothing to worry about. But if you remember everything else and forget this, then you will have done nothing in your life. It's as if a king has sent you to some country to do a task, and you perform 100 other services, but not the one he sent you to do. So human beings come to this world to do particular work. That work is the purpose, and each is specific to the person. If you don't do it, it's as though a priceless Indian sword were used to slice rotten meat. It's a golden bowl being used to cook turnips, when one filling from the bowl could buy 100 suitable pots. It's like a knife of the finest tempering nailed into a wall to hang things on. You say, but look, I'm using the dagger. It's not lying idle. It's not sitting around. Do you hear how ludicrous that sounds? For a penny, an iron nail could be bought to serve for that. You say, but I spend my energies on lofty enterprises. I study law and philosophy and logic and astronomy and medicine and the rest. But consider why you do those things. They are all branches of yourself. Rumi advises us to return back and not forget the very reason, and to not forget this one reason. If you forget everything else and not this, there's nothing to worry about. But if you remember everything else and forget this, then you will have done nothing in your life. What does he advise us? He says, remember the deep root of your being, spreading this mission, the mission of spirituality, the mission of oneness, mission of the Prophet, peace be upon him, mission of mysticism, mission of love, unconditional love. He said that in the lesson, there is a lesson. So the person that is teaching, they must not forget the lesson. Meaning that in the beginning, when they came as a student, and they were a student and they were given a lesson, a specific lesson, a special lesson, specific to that person. And as time progressed, they got caught up in the aspects of the work that they were given, but they had forgotten the lesson. So they got in a circle of doing the work and the action. However, the lesson that they were supposed to keep in connection to, that lesson became forgotten. Hence, the spiritual work on the self, of self-realization in the process, was forgotten. So he gives us a lesson that similar to what Maulana Rumi is saying, that if you remember everything else and forget this, then you will have done nothing in your life. So when your murshid is teaching through his specific way, personally to the person, personally to the murid, personally to the seeker, they must remember that your murshid has put you to work. The murshid has put you into a specific place for a specific time, yet at the same time you continue to hold on to that lesson, holding on to your center, holding on to the reality of oneness, recognizing and always remaining permanent in the reality that your murshid has put you to work in the first place. That the work is the aftermath, but in the work that you are doing, in the mission work that you are doing, is the revelation of the self. The entire mission work is the revelation of the self. But first and foremost, you continue to channel your connection in the same way you originally received the lesson. Nothing changes. The awakening process, as we say in today's time in very simple words, the zikr of Allah that is given to you, the tasawwur-e-shaykh meditation that is given to you, the connection piece that a seeker should continuously intoxicate themselves in, absorb themselves in, is the main lesson. All the other work is the revelation of the self while the work is happening. Meaning the murshid spiritually is teaching the individual student, revealing the student to themselves. But if you cut yourself off from the lesson that you are given and you just continuously do the work, you have missed the point. Missed the point. The work that the murshid gives you is to build you into revealing, or in other words, self-realizing through the work. When you are given, and those that are the murids of any silsila on this call, those that are the students of any order, any school of mysticism, Sufism, they know the lesson personally that they have received the day they sat in front of their spiritual guide. So it is a hidden gem, yet such a simple advice, but a hidden gem, because the ego can simply make you believe another version of yourself if you forget the lesson. If you remember the lesson, we will remember the ego is a lie. The ana, or the ego, is a lie. We are not the ego, but we are living as the ego, looking for the truth. But how can lie look for truth? If the ego is a lie and you are the avatar of a lie, you are living in the darkness of the ego as the lie. How can one find the truth? So what needs to be done is you have to change your process into realizing you are the consciousness, and the consciousness of the heart, of the mind, is all united with the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The meditation practice is maturing the consciousness or maturing the self in realizing and recognizing the reality of us beyond the lie. And when one understands themselves beyond the lie, they realize that there is only the reality of God, finally confirming their faith. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad wa barik wa sallam.